The McLain Family Band. The McLain Family Band is an American bluegrass band founded in Hindman, Kentucky, in 1968. Raymond Kane McLain studied folk music at university and began playing bluegrass music with his then three children in the late 1950s. They formalized their group in 1968 and played for WPTV before moving to Berea, Kentucky. In the years since, the group has played in 50 U.S. states at renowned venues across the U.S. and on nationwide television. Initially sponsored by the United States Department of State, the McLains performed in 63 total nations. From 1978 to 1987, the band hosted an annual family-friendly bluegrass festival in Big Hill, Kentucky. The McLain Family Band developed their sound by ear, with only their patriarch having been classically trained. Music reviewers and ambassadors of the United States alike spoke of the band's authenticity and heartfelt approach to music. In 2013, the International Bluegrass Music Association awarded the McLain Family Band with their Distinguished Achievement Award. Some McLain songs are originals, some are bluegrass and country music standards, and some were specifically commissioned classical pieces, the first bluegrass band to combine those genres. The core of the band has always been the progeny of Raymond K. McLain, but the group has expanded and contracted over the years. Some members have worked on their own projects when the family band was touring. At least a half-dozen albums attest to that. History. Formation. Dr. Raymond Francis McLain, 1904–1905, May 2, 1981, was president of Eureka College, Transylvania University, and the American University in Cairo during his career in academia, while his wife Beatrice "Bicky" Kane McLain, 1906–2004, was the director of the Center for Southern. Raymond Francis and Bicky had two children, daughter Rosemary, a singer/songwriter and artistic pioneer in the rubber stamping industry, and son Raymond Kane McLain, 1928–2003. Raymond Kane combined the passions of his parents. He majored in music theory at Denison University and did graduate work in folk music studies at Harvard University and the University of North Carolina before moving to Hindman, Kentucky in 1954, where he became the director of Hindman Settlement School. While at Hindman, Raymond Kane developed an interest in bluegrass music. He introduced his three eldest children, Raymond Winslow, Alice, and Ruth, to the genre, and the four of them began playing together. Raymond Kane married Betty Winslow in 1952 and founded the band at her encouragement in 1968. Initially performing under the name Bluegrass State, the quartet performed on a weekly WPTV television show for 2 years. On December 31, 1968, the family's Hindman home burned to the ground. All 7 family members and their instruments survived, and in 1970, the family moved to Berea, Kentucky. Performing. The band performed in all 50 U.S. states, and particularly in Alaska during the winters where people really needed music. In 1980, Alaska Airlines sponsored the McLain Family Festival January 11–12 inside West Anchorage High School, away from the 40-deg F-40-deg C weather. The family was joined on stage by the anchor. On the mainland, the band also stood before audiences at the Speed Art Museum, Carnegie Hall, the 1982 World's Fair, the Lincoln Center, the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts at least 6 times, and the Carter Family Fold since 1974. They also appeared on the CBS Morning News, the Grand Ole Opry, Hee Haw, the Johnny Cash Show, Music City Tonight, Nashville Now Today, and their own weekly program on WKIT-TV. After the McLain Family Band played for the National Endowment for the Arts Music Committee in 1972, Giancarlo Menotti was so charmed by the band that he invited them to that year's Festival dei Due Mondi in Spoleto, Italy. That July, the band undertook their first international concert tour sponsored by the United States Department of State, traveling to Italy, West Germany, and Belgium. The band made 14 overseas tours, including an around-the-world odyssey in 1975, and performed in 63 different countries. The band stopped extensively touring in 1990 to allow Raymond Winslow, Alice and Al and Ruth to personally rear their children without being on the road for months at a time. In 2018, for their 50th anniversary, the band toured widely again through the US and Europe. Festival. Raymond Kane had envisioned for years a family-friendly bluegrass festival dedicated to performing family groups, and in 1978 he found a 73-acre 30-ha farm on U.S. Route 421 in Big Hill, Kentucky that perfectly met the needs of such a festival. I found this farm with this marvelous hill forming a natural amphitheater. The festival showcased both domestic, including Patsy Montana, the Whites Jim and Jess, Janet Carter, and the Osborne brothers, and international talent including the Appleseeds from Japan, the Nyans family from Belgium, and Fesisai from Czechoslovakia. Some years, the festival's performers were broadcast on NPR and Kentucky Educational Television. Between 6,000 and 7,000 people attended the festival each year, many of whom camped on the McLain's farm for the duration. No alcoholic drinks or illegal drugs were allowed on the premises. In 1987, the entrance fee was $10, equivalent to $22.78 in 2020. The festival ran for 3 days from 12:11 p.m. and ultimately lasted for 10 years. McLain music. While Raymond Kane was classically trained, his children were taught and learned to play by ear. The band watched videos of their performances to find weaknesses and continually improve. Raymond Kane said that we should be able to play a piece 3 consecutive times with no mistakes if it was ready to perform. The McLain Family Band's music has been reviewed as being cheery. George Vexey noted in 1975 that unlike many bands, the McLains do little talking, and they minimize their fancy solos. The band performs music of their own composition, as well as bluegrass and country standards, novelty songs, and Eastern Kentucky traditional music. The McLain Family Band also played with symphonic orchestras, presenting pieces arranged by Philip Rhodes, Newton Wayland, and P.D.Q. Bach, the fictional alter ego of Peter Schickel. All band members sing both lead and harmony. In the late 1970s, the McLain Family Band pioneered combining bluegrass and classical music, the first bluegrass band to do so. In 1973, composer Philip Rhodes wrote Concerto for Bluegrass Band and Orchestra for the McLain Family Band, the first major work ever written for a bluegrass band and symphony orchestra. The McLain Family Band has performed it hundreds of times with orchestras from all over the United States. Rhodes also composed orchestral arrangements. One of the band's most requested pieces is Kentucky Wind, a song written by Raymond K. and W. while homesick during a South American tour. Another is Troublesome Creek by Raymond W. about a waterway in Hindman. The song is like the creek. Sometimes it is a placid stream, a place to catch tadpoles and crayfish, but other times it is troublesome, a rising torrent threatening to flood houses. Over the years, the McLain Family Band has repeatedly said, Raymond Kane once said, people pay us to leave our homes, to ride in a van for hours, to set up our instruments. But they don't pay us to play music. We do that for fun. The minute we stop enjoying that, we'll do something else. Discography. Under their own label Country Life Records, the McLain Family Band released 14 LP records. Members. The initial 4 members of the McLain Family Band were Raymond Kane and his first 3 children, Raymond Winslow, Alice, and Ruth. Over the years, band membership expanded to include Raymond Kane's youngest 2 children, Nancy and Ann Michael, Alice's husband, Al White, and Ruth's husband, Michael Riopel. At times, the group also featured Raymond Winslow's wife, Beverly Buchanan, and non-relative Tom Owen. Raymond Kane's wife, and mother of the 5 McLain children. Betty was the band's business and talent manager. As of December 2018, the McLain Family Band lineup included Raymond Kane and Betty. Raymond Kane McLain was born on April 18, 1928 in Alliance, Ohio. In 1970, Raymond Kane began teaching the United States' first university-level courses in bluegrass and Appalachian music at Berea College. Raymond Kane McLain was the band leader of the group for 20 years. He sang and played the guitar and accordion. Raymond Kane also wrote music. The Elizabethan star called his arrangement of Johann Sebastian Bach's Second Brandenburg Concerto the most stunning of his musical compositions for the band. After the band stopped touring in 1989, Raymond Kane became a librarian. He died in Lexington, Kentucky on February 14, 2003 at 74 years old. Mary Elizabeth Betty Winslow 1928–2011 had a degree in psychology from Oberlin College and married Raymond Kane in 1952. After they moved to Hindman, Kentucky, she became the recreation director of the Hindman Settlement School. It was with her encouragement that Raymond Kane started the family band in 1968. For over 20 years, she managed the band full-time, acting as talent manager and bookkeeper at home in Berea, Kentucky, while the band toured and also hosted the band's annual Big Hill, Kentucky Bluegrass Festival. She taught English country dance and was an executive field director for the Wilderness Road Girl Scout Council. She was married to Bill Tallmadge from 1999 until his death in 2004. Raymond Winslow. Raymond Winslow McLain was born in 1953. He enrolled at Berea College when the family moved there in 1970 and married Beverly Buchanan in December 1979. In 2000, Raymond Winslow was made the director of the Bluegrass and Country Music program at East Tennessee State University. As of 2017, he was the executive director of Morehead State University's Kentucky Center for Traditional Music. A high tenor playing clawhammer, banjo, and fiddle, Raymond Winslow is the most well-known of the McLain family outside of the band and one of the most well-traveled musicians in his field. Playing with the family band, Raymond Winslow took nearly all the lead breaks in their early years. He was a musical ambassador for the United States Department of State and made more than 230 appearances with orchestras. Paul Jenkins of Bluegrass Unlimited called Raymond Winslow's playing virtuosic, and in 1972, he won a Bluegrass Music Award. After the family band stopped touring in 1989, Raymond Winslow joined Jim and Jess and played with them for 10 years. During those 10 years, he also released 2 albums of his own, A Place of My Own 1992 and Kentucky Mountain Banjo 1995. Since then, he's also played with Canadian harmonica virtuoso Mike Stevens. Alice and Al White. Alice McLain White B. Rose Alice McLain in 1956 sings and plays mandolin and double bass. Double bass, double bass, double bass, double bass, double bass, double bass, double bass. She enrolled at Berea College when the family moved there in 1970. She met her husband, Al, on the Grand Ole Opry before they married in 1977. Al White B. 1952 grew up playing music in New Mexico and moved to Louisville, Kentucky to join the band Bluegrass Alliance. Al joined the McLain Family Band after marrying Alice. He plays mandolin and guitar and sings. When the McLain Family Band stopped performing in 1989, Alice and Al remained in Berea, Kentucky. There, as of 2017, Alice was in first-grade teacher. Al taught traditional instrument instruction at Berea College, and the 2 of them played concerts and for folk and contra dancing. Ruth Nancy Ann and Michael. Ruth McLain Smith B. Ruth Helen Mclean in 1958 plays mandolin, double bass and sings. When the band formed in 1968, She stood on chairs and milk crates to reach the neck of her bass. As a child, Ruth played the Appalachian dulcimer at the White House on national television after only 2 weeks of learning the instrument. In 2007, Ruth was playing regularly with Grandpa Jones' family and was a director with Usborne Publishing. Ruth has a Bachelor of Arts from Berea College and as of 2016 was a lecturer at Morehead State University. Prior to 2007, Ruth married Philip Smith, and they have 4 children. In 2011, she moved back to Berea, Kentucky to care for her mother, Betty. Nancy and McLain was born in 1965, had joined the band by 1979, and performs on double bass, mandolin, and vocals. Nancy joined up with Usborne Publishing in 1994 and held the position of director within the company as of September 2016. Michael, who was born in 1967, plays banjo, guitar, and mandolin. He has played with the Claire Lynch Band and Dale and Bradley, and he married his wife Jennifer a week after proposing atop the Crown Plaza in Nashville, Tennessee. As of April 2014, Michael taught bluegrass and traditional instruments at Belmont University. Others: Tom Owen had joined the band by 1979 and played banjo, guitar, and mandolin. He was not related to the McLains. A band member, by May 1981, Michael Riopel B. 1954/1955 married Ruth and played guitar, mandolin, and harmonica. Raymond Kane's mother, Beatrice Bicky Kane McLain 1906-2004, called the matriarch of the band by the Los Angeles Times, had joined the band by 1987 and traveled with them for the better part of 12 years singing traditional. He died on April 3, 2004 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Associated acts: shortly after Michael and Jennifer McLain married, they joined with Raymond Winslow to form the McLains. In 1999, the McLains released their only album, More Fun Than We Ought to Have, Pinecastle Records. Michael and Jennifer later became the Michael and Jennifer McLain Band, appending that with featuring Dan Kelly when the eponymous fiddler joined their group. They released Hit the Road and Go on November 4, 2016. When Ruth returned to Berea in 2011, she and the Whites formed Alice and Ruth. They play upbeat, Appalachian-flavored bluegrass music on the banjo, fiddle, mandolin, guitar, and bass. In March 2013, Alice and Ruth released their first album, Let the Mountains Roll. Their second album, a Christmas album titled "'Tis a Gift," was released December 2014. Reception and recognition: by 1972, the band was already impressing bluegrass reviewers. In his review of the band's 1982 performance at Carnegie Hall, Robert Palmer described the combination of traditional bluegrass and archaic modal harmonies as slick and modern. Ultimately, while Palmer called out the amateur qualities of the family's performance, they performed an attractive mixture of old favorites and originals, and their instrumental and especially their vocal arrangements were consistently fresh. The Pittsburgh Press called a McLain Family Band performance full of open-hearted earnestness, wholesomeness, and energy. Michael Jonathan. Sharon White said in 2018, "It is impossible to measure the influence this family band has had on the bluegrass music world. They continue to inspire and mentor future bluegrass musicians through their work in schools and universities." Outside the U.S. In September 1974, United States Ambassador to Pakistan Henry A. Byrode sent a diplomatic cable to the United States Department of State asking for a National Endowment for the Arts NEA evaluation of Hellman's Angels and the McLain Family Band for possibly booking concerts in Pakistan. The State Department acquired a review by an NEA panel member, replying, "McLain Family Band is pleasantly amateurish, however, their enthusiasm and spirit make up for their lack of polish, and on this basis, he would give a good rating." After their April 11-14, 1975 performances in Manila, United States Ambassador to the Philippines William H. Sullivan Similarly, after performing in Laos from April 1923, that same year, the United States diplomatic mission in Vientiane gave high praise of McLain Band performances. McLain's sick convey dramatically the joy of bluegrass music and evoke enthusiastic audience response. McLain's sick are outstanding music. How can anyone not like the McLain Family Band? Sincere people and talented musicians, they represent the best in American character traits of friendliness, informality, and a sincere respect for and curiosity about other cultures while offering their audiences a taste of a unique American musical genre. Each audience demanded and received more than the standard program, with 4 or 5 encores becoming the norm. The variety of the McLain program, humorous songs blended with religious and regional numbers, impressed the listeners with the richness of bluegrass music. The musical talents and personalities, particularly of young Raymond Winslow McLain and his sister Ruth, provoked continuous applause. The McLain style is deceptively professional sick without being slick or overtly commercial. The musical sick arrangements are simple and straightforward, but one never doubts the professionalism, the careful timing and pacing of the program. Audiences included classical music composers, journalists, theater personalities, and, in large numbers, young students. The unanimous reaction was positive, with several people asking specifically that the McLains return to Bucharest for a third time. The McLains already have many commitments for 1976, but if they are available for a European tour, the Post requests a one-week program, which will allow provincial city visits. High praise came from United States Ambassador to Hungary Eugene V. McAuliffe after the band played there from May 25–30, 1975. Without doubt, the McLain Family Band is the most sensational, sick, attractive, and effective cultural presentation which could possibly be fielded by the United States government in support of its goal of projecting the best and most favorable image of the U.S. to any audience in any country, and we're sick. Musically, the McLains are first-rate. Personally, they radiate enthusiasm, simplicity, love of people, love of music. Their art form is little known, but it tells a lot of a side of American which usually sick little known. They have universal appeal and can charm any audience into foot-stomping, thunderous applause. They are simply the best there is. SCU/Arts could never find any better use of its funds than keeping this group on the road every year, for as long as possible, to as many countries as possible, and particularly in 1976. Speaking on their performance in Czechoslovakia, Raymond Kane said, "It's one thing to say the trip was a success, but that really doesn't tell what we saw and felt. The Czechs were so overwhelmed that they came up to us and touched our faces and cried."